Is Diabolico a pedo? Welcome to Ranger Reviews, a web series we look at episodes of the TV show Power Rangers and then discuss them. Today we're exploring the 12th episode of the show Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue, as well as the 350th episode overall, titled Truth Discovered. We start this episode right where we left off. Ryan is a Titanium Ranger, and Dana is super confused, thinking that Ryan was killed. Mitchell says that no, he wasn't actually. He starts to tell the story of the car crash, saying that it was late while pouring rain. We see a flashback. They had been visiting their grandmother and the kids were in the backseat playing with toys, and Mitchell's dumbass looked away when a semi-truck came toward them, veering off the road. Somehow, he ninja jumped out of the back of the car while falling off the cliff, and then the car just exploded. Dramatic. In the wreckage, Mitchell explains that they tumbled over the cliff, and he was hanging on a root with the two kids. He was holding Dana, and Ryan was holding onto his foot, begging for his dad to help him. This is a really eerie scene because there's no music. Mitchell's shoe is slipping, and he's screaming for help, and suddenly the soul of Diabolico shows up, offering to help. Mitchell hysterically goes, "Go away!" Sir, you have no options here. Diabolico says that if he saves Ryan's life, he belongs to him. Mitchell says never, and Diabolico's like, alright, bye, disappearing. Then Ryan actually slips, falling in slow motion, and Mitchell calls for him to be saved. Diabolico shows up, grabbing him from midair. Mitchell begs for his son back, and Diabolico says you won't see him again until his 20th birthday. That's oddly specific. He then pieces out. And Dana's like, and today's his 20th birthday. Like, no shit, keep up. Carter says they won't fight him then, and they'll do what they can to get him back. In the Skull Cavern, Diabolico is explaining to Ryan how he saved him and not his dad. Ryan says that he remembers. Why would they be randomly talking about this? Diabolico says it's Dana that Mitchell loved, so he should totes hate him. Ryan then gets ready to leave, but Diabolico stops him. Why are you pumping him up for nothing? Mitchell's back in the office, telling Dana how he dreamed of seeing Ryan again for 20 years, but also wished he wouldn't come back. This is weird since he wasn't a newborn when he got taken, but I have to assume he's just kind of rounding up here. Dana says he could have just told her, and he says he was ashamed because it was such a hard decision. That feels like a very real dad thing. Dana says, "You did the right thing, father," because she's a robot holding his hand. The next morning, Mitchell walks by Miss Fairweather, ignoring her greeting. She looks on. A tech tries to give him his morning status report, and he just signs it, handing it back. He doesn't really care about stuff. Titanium's on another damn rooftop, and he has the photo from last episode. He tells this photo that Mitchell was no father to him because he's evil. He tosses the photo aside, yeeting himself off of this building. The alarms are going off in the Aqua base, and the Rangers see Titanium on the screen. Apparently, Mitchell left off screen, and while they're discussing how this is a weird situation, Dana just dips. Carter knows immediately that she's going after Titanium, and they find her just slowly leaving the rescue rover, which is very unintentionally funny. The Rangers call for her, and they want to go catch her. Titanium is using his Titanium laser to fire at random citizens, and as he goes in for the kill, Dana shows up morphed. Ryan tells her that she sucks for being a sister or whatever, and now the two are fighting. This is a decent fight to see brother and sister fighting. Dana drops her rescue blaster, and then she kicks back real hard by Ryan before he keeps kicking her ass. Dana then explains that father didn't let you fall, there was nothing he could do, and this is coming off as a lot of get over it, dude. Apparently Ryan wanted to grow up to be a firefighter at some point, and Dana asks if he remembers anything. But when he starts to talk, the other Rangers show up screaming. Ryan runs off like a little girl, and Dana is okay. She wants to go after Ryan and the others rejoin her, but here's Vipera with some monster. The other four Rangers morph, and Vipera sicks the monster on them, whose name is Liz Twin, apparently, and he's voiced by Archie Cow, aka Kai, the blue Lost Galaxy Ranger. Vipera mercifully leaves, and Liz Twin shoots a hand over, grabbing Carter. Kelsey saves him with her weapon from the rescue bird, while Joel shoots him, and then Dana uses steam? I don't know. They bring out the Unilaser, firing on Liz Twin, and they just blow him up into pieces. I guess that's done. Jinxer is there, and he says a spell, tossing a card, and ta-da, giant Liz Twin, who is definitely taking on a more powerful state right now that we're just gonna probably ignore. They call out the rescue rails, getting in, and through their beloved drawn-out process, they form the Super Train Megazord. Carter calls for the Gatling Blaster, and they set the turbines to supercharge, firing at Liz Twin, who doesn't even slow down as he slaps the crap out of the Megazord. They say their power is being drained somehow, and Carter hits him back with a punch. They then use a power punch with the turbines and more missiles, and this seems to have worked, blowing up Liz Twin once and for all. That was intense for like a solid 2 minutes. Titanium Ranger is now at this Los Angeles parking lot, powering down into Ryan. Apparently this is the site of the car crash, and he looks over the edge to see where he was almost killed. Mitchell is suddenly there behind him, asking if he remembers. Ryan says he doesn't need to remember. Mitchell let him fall, and Mitchell explains that's not really true. He tried to save both of them. He tells him to remember how he had a little fire truck. We see that car blow up again in the flashback. Ryan insists that Mitchell is lying, and Mitchell says that he was hanging onto his leg. And then Ryan gets mad, grabbing Mitchell, and of course they both fly right over the edge. Now Mitchell is holding Ryan by the hand from the root, and he tells him to hold on. Ryan is now remembering the truth. You could see that the truth was just now discovered. Ryan then starts to climb up Mitchell, also holding onto the root, and they're both dangling there. Captain Mitchell laughs like a madman. Ryan says he remembers, and then the root starts to come out, and Mitchell says it won't support both of them. So he just drops, and in this moment, Ryan lets go too, morphing. He grabs Mitchell, and then they just hit the ground anyways. Like, did that do anything? Ryan demorphs, but they're both fine. The other Rangers are there, and Mitchell tells Ryan again that he's sorry, saying that he would give his life 1,000 times more to save him. Ryan goes to leave, and Mitchell begs for him to stay, saying that he can't lose him again. Ryan takes off the titanium morpher, dropping it on the ground, and Dana shakes her head. I mean, why? That's for the best. Ryan goes up a tiny little hill, leaving. Back at the Skull Cavern, Diabolico is explaining to Ryan how the future only matters now, and Ryan says that he remembers what happened. Diabolico wants Ryan to be the ruler of the Dark Kingdom, but Ryan walks away, and Diabolico warns him one last time, saying that he'll pay for this. Ryan shakes his head, leaving. The end. Okay, so we got some more answers, but honestly, at what cost? Ryan's backstory is an interesting one, and with a better set of actors, it probably could have been really knocked out of the park. Unfortunately, that's not what we have here. Instead, we have Dana versus Ryan, which was awesome, but then we have a random monster attack in the middle of this to use up Japanese footage. Overall, it's nice to have the backstory and the progress with the Titanium Ranger and Diabolico, but when it's all introduced and then resolved mostly in a single episode, it feels weird. So how will things progress next time? Find out then, but until then, may the power protect you.